Today, we have AudioControls' new 4-channel amplifier, the LC-4.800. You're going to want to see this one, so stay tuned. Alright, so AudioControl has gotten into the amplifier game. Last year they came out with some monoblocks, and this year they have a 4-channel. And this is just the start. They're going to have another 4-channel and some more amps. And more and more. They're going to go crazy with this whole thing. Woo. But today we have this one. This is the 4.800. This is the first of the 4-channel amplifiers. Yes, this has a couple unique features, and we're going to tell you about it. So let's go ahead and unbox this baby and see what she's got.
Okay, so we have
a very shiny box, 2 pieces. Installers love this. Now in the box you should find an owner's manual. We did not. However, if you need to, you can go to their website and download the owner's manual. It's really handy to keep it on your phone. So if the amplifier needs to be retuned or adjusted and there's something you forgot, it's right there on your phone and easy to find.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, so what we have here is, this is the amplifier. The cool thing about it is it's got a cool blue LED that shines up through these fins at nighttime and accentuates this curve. This curve is new and it's going to be carried through on all their products going forward. All the products have also turned black this year.
Yes, sir.
This is removable. Now inside is a fan.
It is.
Yes, and on the side you'll see this little hole here, and there's another one right here. This is for the amplifier to breathe, as well as it's also all open through here for that light, so the fan will move air really well through the amplifier. It'll stay nice and cool. So let's talk about the amplifier real quick. Couple things to note. First thing to note, it's 9 inches by 7.95 by 2.1. It is a 800 watt amp. Okay. And how you get to that 800 watts is a couple different ways. Out of the box, it will do 125 watts at 4 ohms to each channel. It'll do 200 watts to each channel at 2 ohms. It's also bridgeable, 2 by 400. You guessed it. Good guess. Yes. Thank you. You can also do 3-channel mode. So you can take channels 3 and 4 and bridge them to get the 400 watts and either get the 125, pardon me, or the 200 watts out of channels 1 and 2. It has a frequency response of 10 to 30,000 hertz. It has a signal to noise ratio of 102 dBs at 200 watts at 2 ohms. Oh. It's very impressive. It has a dampening factor of over 670 at 10 volts, 4 ohms at 100 hertz output. Total harmonic distortion is less than 1%. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the things on the input side of the amplifier. Alright, so we have 2 40 amp fuses. We have a 4-gauge input for power and ground. We have 2 inputs, both for front and rear. And then we have a 3rd line output, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, the really cool feature that makes this amplifier very exceptional is that it has their LC-7i built into it. So you have 6 channels of input built into this amplifier. So for front, you have a tweeter input or a high-pass input, as well as a standard mid-range input, and the amplifier will go ahead and sum those for you right at the amplifier. So unlike most or all amplifiers that just have a front and rear input, this has tweeter, mid, and rear and or sub input with summing built into it. This is pretty amazing. You have your front output, your rear output, and then an input for the ARC1 subwoofer volume control. Now the nice thing is all these guys here are removable. So when you are doing the install, this does add a little bit of easiness to it. So let's take a look at the top and talk about that. Now what we have over here is the power light. So when this guy is on, this will be lit. You have protection. Now the cool thing about AudioControl is that they've taken this protection circuit to a whole nother level. What they've done is they've gone ahead and made it a Morse code style, so that in the owner's manual it will give you, if there's something wrong with this amplifier, this is going to blink and tell you, you can count the blinks and then go to the owner's manual and it'll tell you what to look for to see what your problem is. You have the GTO circuit, which is the great turn on. which if you're doing a high level input using those inputs, flick this bad boy on, and it'll automatically generate a remote turn on for you. You don't have to go hunt and find a accessory wire somewhere. Now this is the front high input. This is very important. What this is going to give us the ability to do is mix that tweeter input with the mid-range. So they're both not coming in at the same volume. Sometimes the tweeter is lower or higher than the mid-range. We may need to get in there and actually adjust it to blend it well with the existing mid-range that we're summing together. Now we're going to skip this switch for a minute. We'll come back to it. You have your high-pass crossover. Now the front channels are fixed high-pass, and it's between 30 and 300 hertz. And they are using a Linkwitz-Riley crossover slope for their crossover. You have a stereo mono switch, and then you have the main gain control. Now the main gain control is in tandem with these guys over here. These are called gain maximized LEDs. Now what they're going to do is they're going to tell you when the output of the amplifier is clipping. You have your rear gain here, your front gain here, and these two LEDs. You also have this third LED, which is the MILC source clip indicator. Now what this is going to do is if you turn your radio up and this light comes on, turn your radio down. The amplifier will automatically detect when your source unit is clipping. So you'll be able to see when your source unit is clipping, as well as when the amplifier's output is clipping. These three LEDs should never be on, or if they do, they should just barely blink depending on what you're listening to. This makes setting this amplifier up a breeze, because you don't need any external voltmeters or clipping devices to find out if your amp is doing something you don't want it to. Now we'll come back over here to this guy right here, AccuBASS and ARC1 switch. There's two of them, one here and one here. This is the AccuBASS. Because I said it has the LC-7i built into it, the thing that makes the LC-7i exceptional is the AccuBASS, which is a bass volume restoration. It's so that if your car has a bass drop-off, the AccuBASS you can set up to compensate for that and make sure that you have a nice slope of volume from low to high without it losing any bass in the higher end. Now what you can do is you can either have AccuBASS on the front channels, you can have it on the rear channels, or if you leave it disabled on both, it'll feed out the line output. This will allow you to go into a sub-amp and still keep the AccuBASS. That's really cool if you're doing a front-rear sub installation. That way, you'll be able to retain all the benefits of AccuBASS, and it is a real benefit. Now, you're saying, well, what the heck? I don't need AccuBASS. AccuBASS can also be used for a bass restoration EQ to help you get more bass where no bass exists. So that's also really helpful. Now over on the 3-channel side, you have the ability to make it high pass or low pass on the crossover. That way you can run this amplifier in a 3-channel mode to where you have highs on front, sub on back. And you're going to use the same crossover between 30 and 300. You have your stereo mono switch so that you can mono that bad boy out.
Yay.
All right. Any questions?
No, sir.
Really?
Yes.
Unbelievable. You're the man. Took it all in. All right, we'll end this show for us, shall we?
Alright, so thank you for watching. You guys can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
And as usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We really appreciate it when you subscribe. It makes us all happy. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you later next time. Bye.